everyone that is here for my third live session. Gosh, I can't believe we're already in number 3. I'm hoping all of you are well. Please use the chat to say hi if you want to, but you're also welcome to listen in quiet. Hello, Emma Jane. How are you doing, darling? We are here on a Sunday evening, and we have been told that Cyril is going. I shouldn't call him that, should I? Maybe I should call him President. President Ramaphosa is going to be speaking to us at 7 o'clock about a potential change to our lockdown rules, but we shall see what happens. So today I kind of went in and out about what it was. Hello, Elizabeth. Good evening. Thank you for joining. Yes, just pop in and say hello. So it's great to have you here. Then I feel like I'm not just talking to myself. But while I was preparing myself for this session, there were so many things that came to me that I wanted to talk about. That one was using your imagination. The other one was all about sin, which was quite heavy. Then the other one was about just more on being coherent. But by the time I'd finished my meditation, it was very clear that I was going to talk about one particular thing. And so as much as a whole lot of information came in, I didn't write it all down, but I'm hoping I'm going to be able to share it with you in a way that is helpful. And if you find what I have to say in this video helpful, you can always share it with other people. So today's topic is one which is quite close to my heart, and one which a lot of people, when they come and see me in individual work, come with as an issue. And it is around conscious relating, or what I like to call conscious relating. But essentially, it's around relationships and how, where we are now in our human evolution, we are really being asked to move to a very, very, very different place when it comes to relating to people. Because a lot of people that I meet in my sessions, workshops, in my client work, one of the first things they will say to me is like, how did you become psychic? Or how did you know you're psychic? How do I get to see things? And whilst that is one of the benefits of being a psychic, is that I'm able to see and perceive energy. For me, I had to really dwell on the question of when I first found out I was psychic, and what is it about being psychic or being able to perceive energy is actually of any benefit to anybody. Because let's face it, if we are looking towards moving towards a more spiritual place and becoming more spiritual or psychic, it's going to be of no good if we just keep it to ourselves, right? Being spiritual or wanting to become spiritual for me is actually wanting to be of service, to want to understand people better, and to be able to love and relate better. So if I was to name the one thing that as a psychic or seer was of huge benefit growing up, and only in hindsight did I realize this, was that when I was relating with people, be it my siblings, be it my parents, be it my friends, I could always understand from what place they were coming. So this might also be labeled a trait of an empath, which I'm one of those, and many people on the planet are one of those, and it's the way of the empathic warrior, right? How do you work with the sensitivity? But what being sensitive to another's needs and being psychic or being able to perceive energy does is that you understand the place from where that person is coming, and you can tell clearly whether their intention is pure or not. So you bypass the hurt ego that might come up immediately defensive when something is said to you. So growing up, I was able then to be consciously relating to people and not just immediately reacting from a place of defense or a name, blame, shame, or any one of those victim type consciousness. And please, I'm not saying I'm better than any other person, but I'm labeling one particular aspect of my ability to perceive energy that I feel we all need to work on. So if you're wanting to be psychic or seer, then the first aspect would be to look at how you perceive people and to work from a place where you can consciously relate to that person with an understanding of where they're coming from. Because it's my fundamental belief that if, as humans, we can work on that, we would have a much more peaceful, beautiful world. Is if we can consciously relate with someone and understand where they're coming from. So we are reading their emotional fields, their mental fields, and we're bypassing all of that human ego separation stuff that will keep us locked in a lower level of relating, where there will be bickering and arguing, and I need to win this argument, you're better than me, tit for tat, which a lot of relations end up being about. So moving towards a spiritual way of life is actually wanting to be of service and wanting to perceive and see things so that when you engage with someone, you will better understand. Hello, Celeste. Hi, Kristen. Better understand where they are coming from. Agree. Empathy. Yes. So being empathetic is working with a higher way of being that is sensitive to someone's needs. So let's look at how this relates to love. Heavy topic. I know I'm stepping into deep, dark territory here, or maybe not, trying to define what love is. Conscious relating, then, is the ability to relate to someone from a place of selflessness. You could call it unconditional love if you like. But we as a humanity have begun to see love in a very, very warped way. So there's going to be one book I'm going to refer to at the end, but I'll show it to you now. One book that is just amazing if you want to learn anything about conscious relating and relationships. The quote in there is, love brings freedom, love gives freedom, and love is non-possessiveness. Now, when we talk conscious relating, that's quite a big thing, is it not? Because from the time that we are raised, most of us are exposed to a very codependent love. We're exposed to a very manipulative love. We're exposed to a love that says, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm not going to love you. And it can start really early on, and I cringe sometimes when I see mothers say, why are you behaving like that? That's not the Lucy I know. What is Lucy going to grow up thinking? Well, she's going to start thinking that actually, if I need love from my mom, I have to behave according to what she expects. And what does that do? That takes Lucy away from her truth and her authentic self. Celeste, I'm going to read the comments so everyone can see, but they can see it anyway. For me, being an empath has meant that I'm often confused as people, not for the most part, say what they mean, certainly sometimes, but yes, when you're younger, exactly. And it's a way of learning, right? How you actually work with your empathic nature to be able to relate to people so that you don't walk away devastated too, right? Because that's being vulnerable and sensitive. But how we as a society have got to understand love is not the way it should be. We have been taught codependency. We have been taught manipulation. We have been taught name, blame, shame. We have been taught victimhood, right? And all of those little things that come up. What's been lovely about this apparently made people feel like it's true. If you're empathic, people will open up to you because they know you can read them, you can feel them, right? You can perceive them. So when we are moving through a place in our childhood and upbringing where all we are shown back is a love that is demanding, that is possessive, that is restrictive, then how do we go about changing that so that when we become adults, we can actually work in a way that is consciously relating with people, right? So having an open, conscious relationship, sadly, is actually not about you, because love is acceptance. And in fact, if someone has chosen to be with you, to spend time with you, to share themselves with you, then that is the biggest honor. the biggest honor. And it's a hard thing to state and to live by. But if one truly loves the other, their happiness will be your priority. I'm all about love. I love, straight back to you, Celeste. But do we really know what the word love is? Because even in spiritual circles, let's talk about this, right? Is love and light. Okay, that's fine, love and light. But love itself is a very elusive emotion. In fact, it's not even an emotion. Let me not even bring that word, cancel that out. Love is a way of being, right? And it is my belief that love is truly experienced when you are centered, when you are present, and when you are connected. That is what love is. So if you're in a relationship where love is about how much they do for you, where love is about they will give you what you want, where love is about you will always behave according to the way I expect you to behave, that's not love. Yeah, exactly. Didn't add up for me. I agree, Celeste. Mine neither. My concept of love growing up didn't add up at all. And I think for a lot of people, it doesn't, right? Because there are a lot of, let's go on parents, children, because I'm a parent of 3 teenagers. Often I will probably allow them to say things to me that most parents wouldn't, only because I know they feel safe. I know they will never disrespect me. They might in the moment, but we'll talk about it. But in that moment where I allow them to express their anger or whatever it is they're feeling and hold the space, they are accepted. And being accepted is being loved. Because when you are accepted for who you are, for how you're feeling, for how you are in that moment, that is when you feel love. Because I don't care who you are on this planet, but most people want to be seen. That's the bottom line, right? We want to be seen by someone. We want to be acknowledged by someone. And so a love that is open to accepting you as you are with all of your faults and flaws. My signals, last week, 3 hours, shame, Celeste. Thank you for bearing with me for 3 hours to watch. When we are in a place of actually seeing that person and accepting them, that's when they feel loved. So if we are on a path of awakening and wanting to become more spiritual, then maybe we need to think about the fact that wanting to become more spiritual and see things is actually more a way to be more empathetic, to be in tune and be connected to other people so that they feel loved. Because we've used that word love in all kinds of things. I love ice cream. I love chocolate cake. I love you, but I want you to do exactly what I tell you to do. Love is free, right? And so in this new realm of becoming more spiritual, becoming more in tune, becoming more conscious, then it is in the relationships in which we see ourselves in every single day that we really need to take a long, hard look at. Because if we cannot connect with someone, be it the mother, be it our father, be it our sister, sibling, in a way that really wants more than anything to understand where they're coming from and just accept that, whether we agree with it or not, then we're not going to be acting from a place where there is a conscious interaction between the two of us, between everybody. So if you are wanting to see things, become a psychic, become more spiritual, then perhaps you want to set the intention that that perception of energy, that empathetic nature where you can kind of open up and really hear someone, is what needs to be developed first and foremost. Because whilst self-awareness is key to our progress forward, it is in relating to people that we learn the most about ourselves. It's wonderful if you want to be a hermit on a hill and connect with God and nature and all there is. But you're probably going to learn a whole lot more if you're down here on the ground interacting with everybody Because every relationship we're in is a mirror to ourselves. Engaging more with those who speak my language. Thank you, Celeste, for that. Everyone can read the comment. I won't read it out. But this, yes, and you can talk about this tribe, Celeste, this community. This growing community of people who are striving to live a better life. And when I say better life, I'm saying be more conscious, be more aware. Think about what you say, what you do, how you act. It's a tribe that starts to build a vibration that is conscious, aware, and is connected. And in that way, that empathic nature can become an empathic warrior, someone who strives to change the world, someone who strives to be of service, right? Because there is nothing more sad than a couple, actually, let's go to this point, right? Probably quite a harsh one. But a couple who stay together and yet do not respect one another, and yet set limitations or set expectations or demand of the other to be something they are not. The worst thing you can do is to strive to change someone. It's not your place. We can never, ever change someone. We might temporarily, and they might do it because they might be fearful of what backlash they're going to get, right? But we can't change them because every individual process is their own. It is their own journey. How do you think you're best going to change that person? It's going to be if you shine your love on them. And again, I'm not talking doormat love, right? I'm not saying deny yourself for the other. I'm not talking about that either. Stand in your truth powerfully, shining out your love so it beams on the other person and allows them to become who they are truly meant to be. The love that holds someone in their highest potential is the greatest love you can give someone. The love that berates them, condemns them, criticizes them is not love. I'm sorry to say it. But how many, when I was staying on the hockey field watching my boys play, how many people would answer their phones and I just hear screamed on the other side, "Where are you? Where have you been? I've been trying to call you." That's not love. That's like a codependent, irritating little grump-ass couple who are trying to survive in this busy, busy world, right? How about the gentle words of hello, how are you? Have you had a busy day? Because they're likely to have ever had a busy day if they haven't called you. So this idea of conscious relating really comes back to you working on yourself in a way that you can become more empathetic, that you can become more considerate of others, because consideration is key in conscious relating, right? And that you can come to a place where you accept that person for who they are, warts and all. Because like I said, you're not going to change them. Your highest place is to show them who they are just by beaming out your love for them. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm not saying it's easy either. Sometimes it's not. But the idea of being conscious and becoming more consciously aware and becoming more spiritual is more about how you treat others than you treat yourself. Because if you can come to be aware of people, where they're coming from, you will be more aware about yourself. And you will be put in a place where that relationship, that relatingship acts as the highest mirror for you to move to where you need to move. Because we are only truly shown ourselves by the mirrors that are reflected back to us, right? And it takes a strong person to admit when they're wrong, or to say sorry. Saying sorry is not weak. It's actually a powerful place to be. So the idea of being consciously aware is to actually really move to a place where you work from a point of love that offers freedom. The love that is not asking for a commitment. The love that is not asking for you to change or to be put in a certain box of how I expect you to be. The love that wants that person to be happy in the same way that you want to be happy. Because let's look at that side of love, the conscious relating to self, to oneself. I don't think there's many people out there that understand what self-love means. It's a difficult one, right? And that's why I was going to talk about original sin, but that's a talk for another day. Because we've been led up the garden path. We've been separated from self. So the love of self is actually more difficult than to love another. That I do believe. In fact, that will probably be our longest journey to get this love of self so that we can really feel it and believe it. And for me, when that happens, then we know mind, body, spirit are all aligned. That's when you feel self-love, because what that feeling is really just a connection to the divine and a connection to your highest vibration. And trust me, you will feel it when that happens. Right? So in terms of these talks, let's say, these Sunday series that I'm offering, I'd really like to hear from you lot, whoever's listening, what it is you'd like to discuss. Because for the moment, I can have your comments and they can provide with feedback, but it's also a way of engaging and kind of sharing. And the idea, this talk today around conscious relating and what love truly is perhaps something you can all go away and just contemplate. How do you love? Do you love in a name, blame, shame? Do you love in a codependent way? Do you love in a way that actually demands so much of the other person that they're always going to fail, right? Because in my journey, and I'm nearly 53, birthday coming up, it's been a process of understanding how I relate and how my energy field and vibration is and the way I responded to certain situations. So I found myself in a couple of codependent relationships, firstly with my mother and then secondly with my previous partner. And my aha moment was when I realized that I was only in a codependent because I wanted to provide everything. I needed to be needed. Okay. So there's another book if you want to read about codependency. It's called Codependent No More, I think. Belinda, someone I think is the author. Anyway, I'll have a look and I'll put it in the notes below. That was a profound book for me to read in understanding relationships and relating. The second most profound book, and I know I'm probably going to be a bit, what's the word here? Controversial, because this guy's had a couple of things said about him. It's Osho. I don't know if you can see the letters there. Yeah. And his book is Love, Freedom, Aloneness, the Koan of Relationships. If you haven't read this book, you need to. Because as much as Osho has a whole lot of things around who he was, this particular book was fundamental to me understanding how to bring self-love into my world and what loving another person actually really, really, truly meant. The idea of consciously relating to someone that is freeing, that allows them to be who they are, that allows them to be seen in a very neutral but empowering way. So next time your partner does something that is really irritating and frustrating, and that you really want them to change or say something, take a bit of a pause, move away, come back, and just calmly smile at them and say, I love you. With all your funny, traits and quirks, I love you. I accept you for who you are. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, Codependent No More by Beattie. Brilliant, brilliant book. If you want to really, and for me as a rescuer, as a healer, as a helper, as a peacemaker, all of those labels, us empaths like taking on, that book was profound in understanding that I also had a role to play in that I was also engaging in this codependent relationship, right? Martyrdom, sacrifice, all of those things. Brilliant book. Thank you, Elizabeth. So if we really want to walk this path of conscious awareness, then it is in our relationships that things need to change. Relationship with self will come from that, but it's almost harder, the relationship with self, than it is to change those relationships from them around. Preach it, sister. Woo, exactly, Celeste. So again, I don't want you to think that I'm an angel. Okay, I have my moments, but for the most part, I think I make best use of my abilities to perceive energy in my relationships. And that there is nothing more freeing than true acceptance. So I think, what's the time? I think I'm going to keep my sermon short there, right? Because I think I've said what I needed to say, and I think you've got the gist of it. But I wrote down something that I'm going to read at the end of this discussion. And I'm hoping maybe you will just take that away and think about it. And next time you're trying to fight hard for your word to be heard, you can actually just step back and just accept that it's actually okay. And maybe that is not the time to discuss. There might be another time, right? But I'll put this in my comments at the bottom. I must just get my paper so it's going to make a bit of noise. So what I wrote here, if we're really talking about love, right? Because again, like I said, being spiritual, consciously aware, first and foremost, let's look at those relationships. I wrote here. Then what is love really? But a way of being, a way of becoming. Love is a freedom, or freedom to be true to yourself, to be truly who you are, and to be loved by someone is then to be truly accepted for who you are when you stand in your truth. I'm getting goosies. I love that one, right? Because we have learned not to speak our truth, and we spoke about this last week when we were talking heart center, because of the reaction we get. Because when we stand in our truth and we tell that person and they don't like it and they bite back, then we shut up and we withdraw. And trust me, I know, I did that for many, many years. I tried, I shut up, I tried, I shut up, until eventually I didn't say anything anymore. The most empowering thing you can do for someone is if they give you a truth that is not what you want to hear, that is uncomfortable, that presses all your buttons, is just to accept it lovingly and to hold it with grace. To hold it with grace. Because so many people are in relationships that they shouldn't be in because they can't speak their truth for fear of being shut down, for fear of being punished, for fear of being admonished. That is not a true conscious relationship. And so if you have young children, I beg you, that when your child shares a truth that goes against what you believe or makes you feel uncomfortable, don't tell them otherwise. Don't say you can't think that, you can't feel that. Oh, don't be silly. Accept their truth openly, lovingly, and with grace. Right? Because truth is a very powerful expression of the soul. And so if from early on you were even not able to say, I'm cold, and someone says, oh, but you can't be cold. I only want 6 people to my party. No, you invite the whole class, but I don't like those people. No, we've got to invite them anyway. We have been taught to keep quiet with that, even when it comes to saying what we don't like. We should be allowed to say what we don't like, who we don't like, who we don't want to spend our time with. So to love someone is to accept their truth, even if it hurts you, even if it's hard to hear, Of course, I'm saying that they're sharing their truth with compassion, right? I'm not saying that they're screaming and shouting at you and you have to run away. No. It's if there is a respectful engagement where that person is sharing their truth and you are just receiving it and accepting it. By all means, feel what you feel and go away and process that and maybe come back and discuss it again. But if you're feeling in the moment that you can't bear it, you can't walk away and just accept that truth. Just hold that person in that space because they probably went through hell and back to share that truth with you in the first place. So I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say. So this statement that I wrote, I'm going to put in my comments below because it feels like a very powerful one. Think about your path towards becoming conscious and spiritual as one that is being of service. It is not a selfish path. It is not something where you just want to meet with your angels and guides and I want to become psychic so I can read everyone's mind. Fabulous. But why do we want to do that? We want to do that so we're empathetic, we're considerate, we can perceive where someone's coming from so that we can react accordingly. And if their intentions are pure, but their words are coming out impure, we need to understand their intention is pure, even if they're not able to say it properly. Because then we can react from a place of love, which is acceptance, which is freedom, which is connectedness. Love is such an amazing thing, isn't it? We've got this little 4-letter word and we use it for everything without actually knowing what it is. And I'm still on that journey. So I don't know everything. I'm just sharing with you what I've learned up until this point in my life. So I'm going to let you all go now because we are waiting patiently for President to come and chat to us and tell us what our next steps are. I am hoping and praying that my forest is going to be open so that I can go and walk there because it's my safe place. It's where I connect with God and all there is. So I'm really hoping for that. And I thank you so much for all those people that have commented and said hi. It makes me feel like I'm not just talking to my laptop, my little pinhole computer screen camera. Please engage with me. Please send me emails. The work I'm doing here is for you, is to build a community, is to build some sharing, and for us to navigate our way through this human evolution as best as possible. So I thank you so, so very much for being with me. I've got to go and feed my hungry starvings before we listen to the speech. And yes, maybe one day I'll share a bit more about my conscious relationship and my twin flame experience. Although I did a video on that on my YouTube channel, so you can always go and watch that. Because the twin flame connection is a powerful one and it's all about the heart. Connection, being connected to source, exactly, Celeste. And that is achieved by being present, by being mindful, by being coherent. And being present. Thank you, Kaylee. Definitely contemplate. Yes, I think contemplate. That'd be great. If you take it away and contemplate and make your own mind about things, right? Because I can share, but you need to find your own truth. I'm not the only source of truth. But that whole concept of moving away from doing and rather moving to being is where we're going to find our connection to source. Not a human doing, a human being. So maybe you can I'll end off with that. Contemplate too the next week where you are overdoing and where you just need to be. Oh, yes, Kristen, I agree with you. Twin flames. Okay, I'll put up my list of comments. But yes, definitely barefoot in Newlands Forest sounds like a fantastic idea. I think it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I think Cyril's going to tell us tonight we can get out into those forests. So the masses are going to be running there for freedom. So I wish you so much love, everybody, and really, truly, truly grateful for you just taking the time, taking this half an hour or so just to listen to me, hoping that I shared something of value and that you can take it away, contemplate, and bring into your life wherever you feel necessary. Go and give your loved ones some conscious relating and accepting special ones. I love you so much. I thank you for being here, and we will chat again next week, same time. Bye for now.